probably going to work. All right, I think that everything's good to... You said you don't really need the PowerPoint presenter, do you?
I'm going to use it in a minute.
Okay, cool. No, I mean, not the PowerPoint presentation, but the... Like, I have that little presenter thing, you know? Like, little button.
Oh.
Did you want a button? Is that too newfangled?
No, the only problem I have is I have something digging a hole in my foot, so that's going to...
Oh, you would be sitting most of the time.
Well, if I was smart, I would, but... But...
I'm still going to plug it in because I use it all day.
That's quite all right, but see, the problem is I don't know how to be still.
Nor do I. Now, I'm pretty good at being still, actually. I can pull that off. If you needed me to, I could sit completely still for hours.
No. Okay.
As long as I have fun.
What are we doing to get this up there?
Oh, right. I forgot to do, like, the main thing.
Oh, the main thing he forgot. Well, the main thing was getting here.
That's true. We don't care how you get here, just get here. Y'all ever see that commercial?
No.
One hit.
All righty. Good morning. It's 8:10.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you. I mean,
But go ahead.
This is Carl Covert. I'm saying that correctly, right?
So far.
Carl.
Yeah.
So he's our library. I always call him liaison. But he's a librarian here at the Greenville and Silver Springs campus. He's here on Tuesday, Wednesday. But he's out in Silver Springs on Monday, Thursday. So if you ever want to go to Silver Springs, talk to the librarian Monday, Wednesdays. Monday, Thursdays, man, it's good. Where are you on Friday?
Main campus. You
Paris.
saw me on the.
I saw you. Yeah. Yeah, you have to go to Paris if you want to. So if you ever need to contact him on a Friday, drive to Paris.
Or you could just email me or call me.
Yeah, those work as well. But he's going to talk to us today about the library databases, give us a more thorough look at how to get into them, and please give him your undivided attention.
Okay, good news. It's wet outside. So evidently that screws with your professor's mind. So, how far a drive do you have?
How far, like a physical, like driving my car?
To here.
To here?
Yes.
Do we a round trip as well, or
No.
just
one way?
One way. 18, 24 minutes, depending on traffic and if people are driving 65 in the left lane.
Okay, so I left my house about 6:40 this morning to get here.
No.
I live in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my name is Mr. Covert, as your instructor has told you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an off-campus librarian, which we've already established. We have established when I'm here. But you can reach me by email, by phone, or come by in person. The one thing I don't respond to, because I never learned how to do it, is read smoke signals. I mean, really. I mean,
It's an uncommon way of communication.
no, I mean, has anybody ever seen those old westerns where the cowboys going, oh, that's these smoke signals? Have you ever wondered how the Indians knew what or Native Americans as we call them now, knew what the hell they were saying? Cavalry over there. I mean, you see the dust cloud from 10 miles away. Don't you know where the cavalry's at?
I just assumed it was always like one message.
Oh, what message?
Yeah, just the one. It was like busy, call back later. I just assumed
Okay.
that was the only one.
All right, see? Besides, if you know that, if you see them making smoke signals, you know where they're at.
Like, what a weird fire.
Anyway, now that I've made my joke for the day,
Only the one?
it's early.
Oh, fair enough.
I had to wake up a 7-year-old this morning. So, of course, on the
I had
other
to wake
hand,
up a 34-year-old. It was hard.
well, I could go with a 55-year-old, a 52-year-old if you want.
Well, what time did you get up?
5:02.
Yeah, see, I'm still in that mode where if we didn't have school, I would wake up at 10 a.m. Like, that would be my time. That's my time. Anybody else? Where are my 10s at? Right? Ayo.
Well, you see what drives William and Chris crazy is that I wake up, this is me, without the coffee.
Oh, wow.
With the coffee, I'm a lot worse.
Or better, depending on
Still,
that.
but anyway, they will lay in bed for 15 minutes before they even think about getting up. Who's there?
Yeah.
God.
My alarm has to go off about 10 times.
Anyway, I'm out there. I'm up, ready to go. Here's the deal. This is what I'm going to show y'all today.
Right there.
I'm going to show you how to communicate with librarians. Ha ha ha. Okay. The punchlines are at the end of the presentation. Virtual reference desk. I'm going to show y'all that. And hopefully they will remember it's me. I sent them a message the week before last, and they were kind of going, who are you? Email. Ask a librarian, which is email link. So I'm going to show you how to search the PJC library catalog to find books. I had one of y'all's, not a classmate, but somebody in this current student population said he hadn't read a book since the 4th grade. So hopefully the order won't get to y'all, because I had to get rid of him. 4th grade, really? Implement Boolean operators, which is a fancy way of saying 3 little words, and, or not. They're a good way to help you search. Locate journal articles. Now I'm only going to show y'all 2 databases. EBSCO, which is the catch-all for everybody, and then opposing viewpoints, because in 1301, y'all will be doing a compare and contrast paper at least one time? One time?
Yes.
So opposing viewpoints is a good database. And you see that I do interact with the instructor when he's not on his phone checking the weather.
No, I was checking to make sure I got the email from the students who aren't here today.
Oh, good. Anyway, then I'm going to show you how to evaluate Mr. Internet. And for y'all's viewing pleasure, yeah. What we have done, we bought this. I'm just going to minimize it. What are you doing?
I'm unplugging the monitor and replugging it because we apparently plugged it in once the power point had already started, which caused it to go off, and now it's back.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, wait, I got it. Push Control N.
Control N.
There you go.
There.
New window.
Good job. Now.
Don't judge me.
It's early. He hasn't had enough coffee. Who drinks coffee nowadays anyway? How many people drink
Starbucks? Well, since they came out with Starbucks.
Okay, how many people drink Starbucks coffee?
Y'all drink regular coffee?
Who's coffee? What's disgusting?
Coffee.
Well, I will admit they don't let me make coffee at the main library. They did it one time and they were wired for 3 days. I only know how to make camp coffee. You know, open fire, coffee pot, water, grounds, boil it, and drink it. So they don't let me do that anymore for some strange reason. How to get to our stuff? It's really easy. Homepage at PJC, go to Quick Links, Library Services, and kaboom. Now, circulation policies are really simple. We do have, obviously, a library here. It doesn't have room for a lot of books. And the Sulphur Springs Library is a little bit small too, but we do have operational libraries there. The main campus, by theory, has more books there. So, we have DVDs, and still some VHSs, which are checked out for a week, CDs for a week, books are a month. Okay, ask a librarian, just an email link, in the library loan. Now, sometimes a student will come up with a topic or subject we may not have a lot of information on, which happens. I mean, we have a good library, and we should, because we've been in operation since 1924. However, sometimes there's some things that will come up that will just be, we don't have a book, but somebody else will have the book. So let's say that you're going to do a research paper on a serial killer by the name of Ed Gwynn. Wisconsin serial killer.
It was Gwynn?
Gwynn, I think was his name.
Huh. I know it's G-E-I-N. I just never knew how it's pronounced.
Well, I'm probably mispronouncing it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's weird. Like, there's a lot of things that I always think I know how to pronounce, and then I hear them for the first time ever.
Well,
like the other day, I heard the word. Did I mention this to y'all? I heard the word. I always say H-E-G-E-M-O-N-Y. Have y'all seen that word before? I can't see it.
Can you spell it again?
H-E-G-E-M-O-N-Y. I always thought it was hegemony, and I heard somebody say hegemony, and I was like the cricket, you know, I was just like the first time I'd ever heard that word said out loud, because I think that's probably common in when you grew up in a household that didn't really have a lot of books, but you're the one who decides to start a trend, and then you're the first one to ever, you see the words, you've never actually heard them before, and then
Oh yeah, well, I did not know I was.
Win might be, yeah.
I did not know I was saying the word barbed wire wrong.
Barbed wire?
Yeah, it's barbed wire.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. Barbed wire. But
Barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Well, when I was a kid, I thought the windshield wipers were called windshield wipers. So.
But anyway, back to my point.
Yeah, sorry. You're looking up Ed Gwynn.
Anyway, now, we will not have a book on Ed Gwynn. However, if you need this book for your research paper, come find me, and then I will locate the book, whatever library has it. I will send the request to the main campus, because that's where our interlibrary loan clerk works, and then she will request it from that library, then the library will find it, mail it to us, then they'll mail it to here, and then I'll hand it to you. This does not take 24 hours. This takes about 7 to 10 days. So please don't come to me on Tuesday needing the book on Wednesday.
Does anybody plan on doing like a, I'm sure you plan on going to like a 4-year university, but most of you. But does anybody plan on doing like an honors program at whatever college they go to, like being in the honors college? Usually that requires some sort of final project, and if you do a final project, like they'll have you research some specific topic. And a lot of times, like if, let's say you go to A&M Commerce, I mean, many of y'all might have parents who are going to send you off, and so that's not a problem, but you go to A&M Commerce, their book selection's gone way down. Physical, books. So they generally will have to, if you want to get a book like that, you'd have to order interlibrary loan through like UT. And if you do a grad program, I used it all the time. Sometimes I was so impatient that I'd drive straight to UNT to get a book, but a lot of times, like, I'm not going to drive to like the University of Houston, and so it'd ship, and it would get there really fast. Like interlibrary loan, like they're on their stuff, like they know what they're doing.
Well,
use it if you need it.
Here's the deal about, I haven't been to the Commerce Library in some time.
Yeah.
But what's happening is that books are expensive. However, the new generation, are y'all millennials, or what's past millennials?
Are y'all post-millennials? Millennial X's.
No, I think it's Generation Z's and that's what
Generation Z? Well, what are we going to do next?
That's what we
AA? Like AB, AC? I mean, there's got to be a stopping point here.
But anyway, here's
We're
the
the
point.
last one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's sad.
I'm just kidding.
Well, based on Kim Jong-un, maybe.
But here's the point.
Excuse
me for a second.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
Here's the point. Book budgets are going down because everybody wants to read, because everybody seems to think that ebooks are the way to go. How many people like ebooks?
I listen to books.
You what?
I listen to them.
Audio books?
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
How about, y'all like ebooks?
Yeah, ebooks.
Do you like to read?
Yeah.
I like these people already.
Yeah, me too.
But
only based on that one answer.
But anyway, Commerce's library is probably going down in book size because they think that ebooks are the way to go. Because you can access ebooks 24/7. In the library here, I'm here till 5. Which doesn't mean you can't walk in there, write the book number down, and your number down, and I won't know who has it. Which does happen. That's cool, I don't care. Using the book is what it is. But the problem is that book budgets are going down because everybody thinks ebooks is the future. What they don't realize is Mr. Internet can go down, Mr. Power can go off, and then you can't access your ebook. But I'm just happy because I'll have a book.
Does anybody want to guess when the database is the most likely to go down?
4 p.m.
It's an interesting guess. Oh, because of before 5. Gotcha, winner.
Weird, like finals.
It's right when everybody decides to get on and do their research for a paper. So basically 10 p.m. the night before it's due. So just keep that in mind, that you should do all that research in advance, because like he's saying, the ebooks, like the online sources we have, while they're a great thing, they do have their limitations. So books are a really good
I used to teach an online history course, and so I would open everything Monday morning at midnight. And from Monday to Friday, let's say I had 35 people. From Monday to Friday, I would have about 4 people do all the work. On Saturday, I'd have about 10 more do the work. And then from Sunday till about 9 o'clock, about 3 people. But I get on there at 10 o'clock, and everybody's on there.
Yeah, everybody.
Because they have till midnight. They have till midnight. And the problem with that is, I had a rule. Because back when I was doing this, I had a small child. I mean, like your size, just 6 months old.
Oh,
so,
my child's size.
Yeah, your
oh,
child's
that's my size.
Hey,
I was like,
hey,
you're the gifted like gene pool.
Hey. So I didn't have time. So I was getting,
like your size.
Anyway, so you're with a small child, infant. You have broken sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes with no sleep. And so I would go to bed at 10 o'clock. 10:01, I'm already in there. So I go, don't ask me to, I will not check anything after 10 o'clock. So you're on your own. So if you mess up, I will check it tomorrow morning and then tell you you're toast because you waited to the last minute to do it. Don't wait. So you're right about that 10 o'clock. Anyway, don't worry about Aiken Archives. Databases, alphabetical are kind of obvious. Topical, rather obvious. Databases, this is when you're going to log in. We'll log in using this one when you want to do your research at home. Got online catalog is right here. That's how you get to your books. LibGuides, this is how you're going to go and for extra resources we have. Virtual reference desk. I promised to show you that. Ooh, you're just smart today. Now let's hope it works. Now the one thing I want to remind you all about this is we have about 3 people in the morning, counting me, that's 4, and then we have and then we'll have a night person come in about noon. So, and then they will say, as long as this is open, as the library is open, we'll have somebody monitoring it. But what I'm saying is, don't expect a quick response. Give us a minute or two, okay? Because we may be answering the phone, helping somebody with a print job. I'm obviously cannot answer this because I'm here. So give us a couple of minutes. This is a safe one because I know it's me. I asked them a really hard one the last time, and they were kind of going, no.
You're like giving them an algebraic equation.
Worse than
like,
that.
Oh, gosh.
It was a history question.
Oh, yeah. They have to find it.
So just give me, now you can see right over here that we are in the 21st century because we have the apps for your EBSCO, for your iPhone, for your Android. Also right here, and I know y'all won't need this, video tutorials on everything I'm about to explain to y'all.
Yeah, that should be pretty helpful.
Yes, they are, but people actually use them too. And then our hours, this is mainly at the main campus, okay? Because the hours here never change. See, they're evidently busy doing something because they're not answering us.
They're helping a student.
Well, they could be having a coffee break too, but I doubt it. They don't drink coffee.
I was trying to give y'all the benefit of the doubt.
So, while we're waiting for them to get to us, we will go on with this presentation. Haha, databases. Off campus. Username is really simple. It's your student ID number. Password is even simpler. Your birthday. Unless you've changed it.
Bless you.
Now, right here, since you've last been here, they've changed the color of this. Remember, it was nice and green and dark.
Yeah.
Now this is a blinding white.
The green I figured out is actually, I think it's still there. Either that or it's there on EBSCO. I can't. There's a hidden green somewhere in one of the backgrounds on one of the websites.
Oh.
Which is it's really strange. I'll show them later, but
Okay. Anyway, now, Academic Search Complete is your buddy. It's a catch-all for all databases. And right down here, we have several that are for 1302. I'm just going to mention them. You don't have to use them. And then I'm posting a few points right here. Now, one thing we're going to do is this is something we've had since the summer. And this is something that can help you explain one thing we're focusing on. It's called information literacy. Because what we've discovered is y'all are very bright, but sometimes y'all don't see the light bulb for the light or the light for the light bulb, something like that. You don't understand. You see the information there. You don't understand how, some of y'all don't understand if it's good information or bad information or what. So we've got these little videos here that'll tell you, like right here, video on thesis statements, how to write one. how to do the research process, how to narrow your topic. These are really good videos for y'all to understand. Now we're just going to watch one really quick. It's why information literacy matters. It's just one, if it works. Did I press the wrong one? Yeah, life in the information age. Now I'm going to make it bigger and print out the light. Well, if that's bigger, I don't want to see smaller, huh? I'll get the light.
Do you like to walk?
No, I don't need to walk. I have something in my foot that's very painful. But it's not going to stop me from doing it.
I'm gonna make my life harder. Oh my God.
Well, what are you doing, you silly goose?
I don't what?
I'm talking to the machine.
Oh, well, you want me to start it? It looks like it hasn't. The play button hadn't been.
Oh, I was thinking that it was smart enough to play itself.
I think I have autoplay turned off, maybe, or maybe this website does. Or... Oh, do you want volume?
It would help.
Oh, I hear it, but it's like.
Is it right? Is that?
I didn't know audio was happening.
Work and make decisions every day.
There is the flashlight that
As we
helps.
live in the information age and work in the knowledge economy, knowing what to look for and how to access the right information at the right time is critical. So much about how we use information has changed in the last few decades. In the next few minutes, we'll take a closer look at the new information landscape and how it affects you during your time in college, your career, and other aspects of your personal life. Years ago, when you wanted to talk to your friends, you had to meet in person or call each other on
How many people have used one of those?
Today, almost everyone has their own personal cell phone, and people consistently remain connected to each other through texts, social media, and other apps. In the future, people may talk less in person or by voice as short video and text-based communication become the default methods of communication. Years ago, our worlds were much smaller. The majority of our experiences were based on the people and areas we grew up with. Today, our personal circles have expanded across the globe. We easily can communicate with people from many different countries and backgrounds. In the future, geographic distinctions will matter less as we continue to live, work, and play online. Years ago, news and information came from a small number of trusted sources. Today, the news is personalized and self-edited. You can limit to seeing only those media sources that you agree with. Ironically, even though we can connect with anyone in the world, many people segregate themselves within their own small social group.
This is actually really important.
In the future, news will continue to become more
really
personalized and come from a wide variety of sources. Years ago, it was relatively simple to tell factual news sources from parody and humor sources. Today, news, parody, and opinion are blurred. Comedy or opinion shows are often televised in a similar format to news programs. Many websites appear to be credible news sources, and many of them incorporate just enough factual information that it's easy to confuse truth with parody, hyperbole, or opinion. In the future, more sources of fake news will exist online. Due to the popularity of these sources, some journalists and news broadcasters have begun to incorporate humor into their publications and broadcasts. Evaluating sources and locating original source material will be vital skills in determining fact from fiction in these cases. The college classroom has also drastically changed for this generation. Years ago, students took all classes in person with a professor. Today, you may take self-paced classes online and communicate with classmates through chat and text. In the future, students may be able to attend any university in the world without ever leaving home. Online education providers will thrive alongside traditional universities.
That's going to make parents unhappy.
Years ago, students bought their textbooks from bookstores or borrowed used books from friends. Today, you can buy or rent textbooks online and often price shop due to the variety of options. In the future, students may never use print textbooks, instead using tablets and interactive e-textbooks. Years ago, if you needed information, you had to actively seek it out, and perhaps visit a library to find it. Today, you have a computer in your pocket. You can get information not only on demand when you need it, but it is constantly pushed to you through email, messages, and alerts. In the future, avoiding becoming overwhelmed by information overload will require the ability to sort and prioritize the flow of information. Years ago, before the internet, searching for information for a research paper meant using card catalogs and indexes. Today, databases are everywhere, but were you ever taught how to use one? You may be really comfortable with Google, but what about specialized academic sources? People assume that because you grew up with technology that you know how to do everything. In the future, students will learn how to search at an early age, as knowing how to find the right information will again be more important than memorizing information. Years ago, students were limited to print sources they could purchase or get at their library, like encyclopedias, journals, books, and newspapers that were created by trusted authors and publishers. Today, you have access to vast amounts of information online. While some of it comes from trusted sources, much is crowdsourced information, as in Wikipedia or forums. And it's hard to tell the difference between a journal or a website when it's all online. In the future, who knows what new information sources will be.
And that concludes this presentation. It freezes right there sometimes, folks.
Hit that exact spot every time?
Pretty close.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Hey, skip 2 seconds past, like just put the cursor like slightly past the bar, and then, you gotta come from the top. Yeah, from the top, slightly down, like a little over to the right, and then just click. Did you drag it or did you click?
You dragged it.
I dragged it.
Okay, just click, but don't hit the thing.
Don't hit the thing.
Okay, don't drag it. Don't drag it. Go over
I
to
did.
the. Oh.
College with the basics.
Okay. It was worth a shot. Okay. I did not just rip my new jeans. I don't think I did. Okay, good. That was really good.
See, sometimes.
So see, life in the information age.
Okay, watch right
Andrew?
here. Okay, EBSCO, your database, awesome. Now,
This is specifically academic search complete.
yes, it
Okay,
is.
good.
Now, unfortunately, Mr. Nichols has seen this presentation, part of the presentation before, so he's going to have to. He can go to sleep now. Anyway, let's say I like using Karl Marx because, for one thing, he is the best example of a good search.
You all know who Karl Marx is, right?
No.
They haven't learned who Karl Marx is yet.
Oh, that's all right. My sociology teacher really loved Karl Marx when I was in junior college. Made a C.
For communism?
Yeah. Well, you see what it is you may not believe this, gang, but I like to read. And so she thought that Karl Marx was the best thing invented since sliced bread. And so I would point out the errors of her ways. I don't understand the C. Now look at this, 1,489.
Oh.
Aren't we just special today? But that's way too many. And your professor goes, I don't want you to use Reader's Digest, Time, Newsweek, Ladies' Home Journal. So click on here.
See, this is different than Google. With Google, you go to Google and you search. If you don't get the right search, you go back to Google and you search again with more specific terms till you get the result you want, right? That's not how the databases work. It's essentially like one big list of all the things that are all relevant to what you're talking about.
See, I knocked out 400 of them in just a second.
Yeah, he knocked out 400 just by hitting scholarly peer-reviewed journals, which gives you the better journals. It's the one where the peers have actually already.
You're somebody who's qualified about the subject.
Exactly. So
now,
they narrowed down the information.
Now, and then Mr. Nichols is being difficult today, and he wants current information. So from 1967 to 2017, he goes, I want past 5 years.
Yeah.
So you click here. I call it doing the time warp.
So now he's narrowed the search to the last 5 or 6 years, really.
At 365. So I knocked down almost 600 in another few seconds. But 365 is still a lot. So what we're going to do is use our friend, those Boolean operators. Karl Marx or communism. So he's looking for both. And we hit that, and well, that's not a very good search because it gave us more. So now we're going to use the second one called not. So it's looking for Karl Marx, not communism, and it gives us
not very many of them.
342.
342. Don't mention communism.
Yeah.
I know part of those. A lot of those are non-English sources, so they don't use the word communism. Do you think it can filter by? Do you think it knows what the other languages used for communism is and filters that automatically?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
So the third Boolean operator is and. So it's looking for articles that have the word Karl Marx and communism in the article. And kaboom, 23 is a great search. Back when I was doing this and we didn't have Mr. Internet, I would have to use, it would take me all day to find 3 articles. I would find 10, and maybe the library would have 3, because no library can afford every database. I mean not database, but magazine article, because some journals are thousands of dollars. Time is like $100, but can't use time. But you know, this one right here.
Could always use more time.
Okay, we can use right here, Freedom and Necessity and Karl Marx's Account of Communism. I love this article, by the way. See, the British Journal for the History of Philosophy is probably several $100s. Could be even a couple of $1,000s. Because not every, it's specialized.
Yeah.
So math and science ones are expensive like you would not believe. So not every library can afford them. So having the database is just awesome. Gives us access to thousands of articles we wouldn't have. Now,
it's kind of like owning all the movies on Netflix is impossible, but having a subscription to Netflix is not that bad. It's kind of like what we do with articles.
Now, one thing, remember we found 23 articles. Now, let's say that we had only found 4 or 5. Now, what I do is if when I do a search and I don't have enough articles for my paper, I will use these subject terms in one of those articles to see if it would give me an idea about how to go gain more information. So, I mean, we could just go on communism or work or quality of life. I don't think these would work for the paper we want to do on Karl Marx and communism, but it may give you some ideas about how to go on a different tangent. Now, everybody knows how to click on PDF full text. You'd be surprised when I started doing this, people that what's a PDF full text? So, anyway, now this is the article as if we were to carry it in physical format. Now, a couple of clues, a couple of neat things to worry about. You see this folder? Okay, what you can do is sign in and create a free account. This will allow you to do 2 things. Put every article you want in this folder. It will not go away. It will stay there until you're done with college. Also, by signing in, it will give you access to our 26,000 ebooks that we do have. Now, any questions about how to do that? Now, couple of quick points. You can email this to yourself. You can put it on a flash drive. You can print it off. But when you cite this information, and Mr. Nichols is terrible on citation information, is he not? He's just a bear.
You gotta have it or you give a 0.
That's right. So right here where it says cite, look at this. It already has the information for you. However, there's a couple things you need to worry about. Now, you know, I wouldn't recommend cutting and pasting, but if you do, you might want to make sure that this is the right edition. I believe this is the 7th edition, Mr. Nichols.
They have updated it.
They have updated it.
Yeah, because they now include a digital object identifier when it's available. In this case, it does seem to be available. They do still sometimes. It's not right. They're not right now. Opposing Viewpoints still includes an access date, which you don't really need because they have their own native dates. But for the most part, it's doing it right finally.
But what I was going to say is, I would recommend you check your hacker manual to make sure every dot and T is crossed, because a 0 is not a good grade.
No, it is not. Well, I mean, they have to have it or they get a 0. Now, if they mess it up, then I take points off.
Okay. Well, anyway, so there was that little hint. Now, let's go for it. Now, the other database. He fooled me. I thought he was going for his phone. Now, right here, this is the one that y'all gonna really like for your compare and contrast paper. This one only takes a minute to get to and show y'all opposing viewpoints. And what it does, all this stuff on here is most current information, the articles they have. This is all scholarly peer reviewed, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, let's try to do a new search. See what that. Well, look at that. They don't have anything on Hurricane Harvey. Isn't that interesting? Okay, but well, look at here. We have dropped it in. We have 196 audio files, over 1,700 news articles, 46 images, 2 videos, 14 magazine articles. So, and there's always pro and con information about these, which is what I wanted to talk to y'all about anyway. Now, I'm sure we're going to have 2 tons of information about this because of that shooting that happened. Let's see, this is Tuesday, happened Sunday night. So, but you can see right here, why we like opposing viewpoints is it gives you a pro and a con on everything. So there's going to be a pro gun control, anti-gun control article. And police and schools make students safer. Okay. Now, right here, here's the article itself. But you can see you can email this information, download it, you can print it, and of course, your friend the citation tool. See, here's MLA 8th, or you can go to 7th APA Turabian. So, any questions about this database? Y'all can do it. All right. We've been having too much fun. I apologize for not going as quickly as I could. Now, online catalog. I want you to go to search when you do this, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because it is very small for some reason today. Now, you can see the different ways we can search: title, author, subject, keywords. I'm only going to show you all 3, and if y'all could focus, we'll be out here in just about 10 more minutes. All right? Title. You know the title of the book you're looking for. Say, I typed in Gone with the Wind. Famous book. More famous movie. And so the author was Margaret Mitchell. And you can see at 947 pages, it is not a quick read. Now, you see it's highlighted the title. Here's the author, who published it, where it was published, who published it, the year it was published, subject headings, description of the book, location. Now, here's the deal about that. Location. Let's say you needed this book. It's located at the main campus. You click here, request item, and it will go to our library clerk. Checks this every morning. Now, so she will send it out that morning. Now, when I'm here on Tuesday and Wednesday, if you come to me before, say, 10 o'clock, you go, Mr. Phillips, I really need Gone with the Wind, I can have it here that day. But generally, we promise 24 hours for a book that one of the 3 campuses will have. We use the Library of Congress classification system, which means every letter and number means something to the library staff, the cataloger. PS is American literature. 3525 will be based on her birth year. G is for the title. There's exceptions to every rule, but generally that's how you're going to find anything in American literature, British literature. Says checked in. That means the odds are 99% that it will be on the shelf. I say 99% because I have gremlins. I also have work studies. Sometimes work studies don't. How many people have worked in their school library before? So did y'all use the Dewey system? Yeah. A lot of numbers, huh? Yeah. And if you don't pay attention, you put it in the wrong spot, huh? Mm-hmm. I have the same problem with using the Library of Congress. So anyway, but that's not a problem here on this campus because I'm the person who puts the books on the shelf, and I'm the person who makes sure the books are in order. So you look for it here or be here. And I told you about that. So we've done title. Now, let's go back to basic. And author. And we're going to do Audie Murphy. Let's see, we have 2 titles by Audie Murphy. His autobiography and his DVD. Now, you'll see that even though they're the same thing, that there's two different call numbers. Here's the deal. Because this is a DVD, we catalog DVDs under PN, which is a designation for DVDs and videos and movies like that, okay? And then D is World History, 811 is one of the numbers assigned to World War II, and then his last name, it will be right there. Because he's the author of this. Now, any questions about how to do it by author?
On here it says, in searching for a book by Margaret Mitchell, which editor would you most likely use?
Author.
No. You're not supposed to ask me. You're supposed to figure it out. So, anyway, back to basic, my friends. Because, like I said, we're getting close to being done. I know you're all getting tired. You need some coffee. Subject is normally the way you're going to look for anything. It doesn't do slang very well. And we're going to use Audie Murphy again because I want to show y'all something. And remember, this system is going to take you exactly how you spelled it. So if you misspell it, you're going to get sent out to Never Never Land. Audie Murphy. Now you can see right here, we have 3 titles. No name on the bullet. Audie Murphy, American Soldier, and to Hell and Back. So we've seen this one. Now you're going to notice here that this book is under U, and D. Autobiography, there. U is the call number assigned to the United States Army. So that's why this book is in the M's instead of next to him right here in D's. M for Murphy, S for the author, Simpson. M for Murphy, G for Graham, and then the year. So there, that's subject. Any questions? Yes, no, y'all got it? Y'all are lost? Okay, in advance, this reintroduces you to the concept of the basic search. Our limits in this system are just collection and location. Oh my goodness, you're done. Power searching is same thing. Subject, the limits, and our friends Boolean operators, and or not. Okay? So if we were to type in, remember in this one, use subject keyword. Let's see. So now it's looking for both Audie Murphy and United States. And we would have found 3. We go back and we go with or. So it's looking for both. And it's found way too many for us. Or Audie Murphy, not United States, it's going to find 0. See, that's how you use our online catalog, okay? Now, I know y'all are eagerly awaiting this part of the presentation. Right?
Did not want to do stuff.
Oh, it's fine. Now, we've covered all these things. And I've showed you how to get to our stuff. I've showed you how to do the online catalog. Showed you how to get into the databases. They're very quiet. So I think it's about time for their nap. Boolean operators, I've showed you how to do it at least twice. And or not can be used to link 2 or more terms together, or can be used to broaden your search. The not can be used to narrow your search. How to get into the off-campus databases. Internet. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to go with it. I love the internet. I really do. It gives me access to a lot of information. I also hate the internet because it gives me access to a lot of information. Now, remember that little information literacy thing. I mean, up until last year, the word fake news was not uttered by anybody.
I think people said it, but it took on a life of its own.
Okay.
Like the phrase. Like it did. Now it's become like an actual catchphrase.
Okay. But anyway, what we have discovered is that sometimes on the Mr. Internet there's, can I use the word crap?
Yes, you can use crap.
Okay, good. Yes.
Can you go back to the other slide?
The and or not?
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing their
I was thinking like she was like, oh, can you go back to that? I really needed this information. And then she's like, green sheet.
Well, I'm going to give them 10, 9, 8. Then I'm going to do what I do to my son. 4, 3,
Yes. Okay.
2, 1. Anyway, when you're evaluating an internet site, use these. Authorship, sponsorship, purpose and audience, and currency. And that's not your $20 bill that you wish was in your wallet.
Yeah.
Authorship. Does a website or document have an author? Remember, everybody likes taking credit for their work. If you cannot find one, I love this part that Joe wrote on here. If credentials are not listed, cut and paste the author's name into Google and search for him. So you're searching for somebody who didn't write a paper. So it's kind of, I like that. Not to mention the fact that if you try to find anything before 1995, sometimes it can be hard. Because my dad was a law enforcement officer from 1972 to when he retired in 1995. And when I do a search on him, I can only find two things. One's his obit, and another one's a paper that he wrote in the 1980s. I think it was in the 1980s. So anyway, so older stuff sometimes is just not in there. Okay, one thing about authorship. If you find a good paper on Dr. King, Martin Luther King Jr., and check the author and see if they actually are qualified to write about Dr. King. I mean, it could be the 8th graders from Martin Luther King Jr. High School, junior high, whatever, could write a really good article on him. But Mr. Nichols is probably not going to appreciate a webpage designed by 8th graders for your paper on Dr. King.
That's like my daughter's age. She doesn't know very much.
Sponsorship. Who sponsors the site? Offering sponsorship is unclear or hard to find. Or not given. I don't know about not given, because if it doesn't have the domain name, is it going to come up?
Yes, but generally speaking, I mean, it's got to have a domain name, so you got to know at least who has purchased the site. Other than that, I mean, I guess it's...
So everybody knows .com is commercial. .edu is going to be a very good site. .gov will be a very good site for information. .org, not so much. I mean, yes, there's some good .orgs out there, but .orgs are basically trying to sway you to their point of view or give you information supporting their point of view. So just be leery of .orgs, okay? Not saying don't use them, just be aware of they're not going to put any negative information on their website. Purpose and audience. Why was the site created? To argue a position? To sell a product? To inform readers? And who's the intended audience? Are you? And if you don't fit the profile, why did that person put the website on there? I tell the story of a librarian we had about 8 or 9 years ago that found the world's best site on Dr. King. It had bells, it had whistles, it was awesome. It was also hosted by a KKK chapter. So,
as good as it might be, just that
alone right there would doom it.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of check to see who hosts the site, why they host the site. I mean, because to be honest with you, it could be everything on there could be totally 100% right, but it was hosted by KKK chapter. I wouldn't use it. I would not.
Yeah, you just can't.
No. And currency is my favorite one because number one, it's at the end. Number two, there is so much information out there that sometimes it's out of date when it's just immediately after it's put out there, which is kind of weird. Medicine, nursing, psychology, sociology, computer science. If they don't update their website every month or every 2 months, I would worry about that site. But stating that, there's because or of course or however, certain information does not go away, even though the website may have not been updated. For instance, I'm going to use somebody different. I always use Benjamin Franklin. I'm feeling Thomas Paine today.
Oh.
Yeah. Thomas Paine. Information on Thomas Paine. How many people have heard of Thomas Paine? Whoa! I like this group. They're smart. Can I keep them?
Yes.
I can keep them.
Well, I mean, their parents might.
Anyway, so y'all actually read Common Sense? Okay, he wrote a pamphlet back in the 1770s, I want to say. That anyway, but Thomas Paine, he was from the American Revolution era. Here's the deal about the website on Thomas Paine. His birth information is going to be the same. His death information is going to be the same. The information about what he did during his life will be the same. So it doesn't matter if the website was created today and never changed for the next 5 years. That is historical fact. It cannot go away. The only thing that can change about a website about Thomas Paine is your interpretation of his life. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, any questions? Yes.
On number 3.
I don't know what number 3 is.
I'll read it to you. The Boolean operator and.
No. I don't get to answer those. You get to answer those.
Okay.
Well, 2 of the answers mean the same thing.
There's one that's better than the other.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you giving this to you?
Yes, we are when you're
We
done.
need our names on it.
I remember. I said that. No names are allowed. I don't need your names. Well, you see, we're not doing this for a grade. You're doing this for our benefit to see how we can make this presentation better. And that information literacy module is going to make this presentation better because there's actually quizzes on there. A pre-quiz and a post-quiz. Anyway, I will let you get to it.
All right.
I'm sorry that I took up so much of your time.
Oh, that's okay. That is okay.
Tell you what, I'm just going to leave this here because I'm coming back in 30 minutes.
Hey, if you want to, sure. You might want to take your phone though.
All right. Are you going to be in the same place?
Yes.
Thank
Same
God.
place.
Green. Green.
So you'll pass your sheets in toward the center, and Carl Cover. Everybody thank Carl Cover with a round of applause. Thank you. All right. Is it okay if I just leave your USB hooked up to the computer too?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. I'll just do that. So the one thing I want to make sure that we get in before we leave today, and it's already on Blackboard. So if you go in as Magnus Baraka, you can see it immediately. Is this the class that did I show y'all what Magnus Baraka looks like? Yeah. I didn't just talk about it. I showed you, right?
Yeah, you showed. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we saw him. Okay, so let us go to the class. It says test posted, but I always hate how it calls all quizzes tests. So does that freak you out whenever you go and it's like test posted? Oh, my gosh. No, it's just a quiz. So if I go here to assignments.
Just leave it right there when you're done. I'll pick it up.
Which one? Leave which what? Where?
My paper.
Oh, okay, cool. So if we go to the PDF link here, I do want to assign the essay. It's usually all we have time for on this particular day, but we'll have the lesson over comparison contrast next time. So it is assigned today, week 6, day 1. It'll be due week 8, day 1, so 2 weeks from today. Now, much like the previous assignments where, you know, with narrative, it's not just a narrative, it's a first experience. You have to show how you change. With a cause effect, it's not simple as what are the causes, what are the effects. You know, it's you're picking one, you're picking the other, depending on the topic. So every topic was completely different. This one, I'm not just having you compare Chevys to Fords or Xboxes to PlayStations. It's a little more complicated than that, and I try to make it relevant too. In fact, every single one of those, that's actually the wrong PowerPoint. Did he close the PowerPoint? Come back, PowerPoint. Every one of these last few slides, the evaluating website content with authorship, sponsorship, purpose and audience, and currency, all of those are extremely relevant to this particular essay we're doing next, the essay 3, comparison contrast. We're not talking about Oedipus the King, don't worry. But she'll talk about the guy who had sex with his mom and had kids by her and killed his dad next semester. So,
Can't wait.
yeah, it's a common story in history. Not common, a famous story. Use the wrong word. So, the assignment is, and now this is a little complicated, so pay real close attention as I go through the particulars. Find a description of the same news event in 2 different magazines, newspapers, and I say or scholarly journals because I'm really just making it possible to do that, but I'd really prefer you use newspapers or magazines that present news for this assignment. You're going to write a comparison and contrast essay, so you'll need to do both in some degree or fashion, evaluating the similarities and differences between the two authors' portrayals of the news story. So if some particular news event happens, there are going to be different writers writing about it. And, I mean, you could probably confirm every single news article is not written the exact same way as it. I mean, there are different words, different sentences, sometimes different topics entirely make their way in. Your job is to figure out why are there differences between two different writers' articles written on the exact same news story. So I want you to be certain that your essay contains a thesis that explains your findings and makes some point about how and why the two sources compare. So don't just show me the differences. Explain to me why those differences exist. Don't simply list the qualities of each portrayal. Discuss why they're alike or different. And I say this down here in this second page that provides more like explanation. But it says basically that stuff that he was talking about. Differences in their funding, sponsorship, the region they were published, their readership, and the demographics. All of those things can cause them to have differences. Even just the author himself, like his particular purpose.
Sorry.
What was that?
I said I thought I had my ringer off. Sorry.
That's a ringer?
No, it's like a sound.
Oh, so you thought you had your set to vibrate?
Yes.
Okay. Was it a screenshot or a picture?
It was a picture
Of like your hand?
of his hand.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious. I was like, it was pointed like straight down, so I was like, what was the picture of? I was like, jeans? Like, it's a very strange. So, sponsorship, authorship, readership, all that stuff is extremely relevant that he was talking about. And we'll talk about that even more detail in the coming weeks. But so really, I'm wanting you to figure out, looking at these sorts of things, like the author's motivation, who they're writing it to, where it's published, why are these two articles written differently? And a lot of times you'll find the answer in those different possibilities. So with this assignment, you'll have to have two news sources cited. You'll need a works cited page and in-text citation. If you forget one or the other, no works cited, no in-text citation, 0 until you supply it. Granted, rarely do I have zeros on this unless it's somebody just forgot the works cited page. Usually people do in-text citation fairly well. Now this is formatting is just the same, but with this paper I also want it to be third-person point of view only, and 750 to 1,250 words. Now it's not including the title header or the works cited, so when you need to highlight from the first paragraph all the way to the end, and don't include the works cited because that won't be part of your word count. I'm going to grade you on your ability to compare and contrast each news story's portrayal of the event. Remember, portrayal, how it's portrayed, why they've done it that way. Follow a point-by-point organizational style, which is irrelevant until you have the lesson on it. Interest and clarity, contain valid thesis, length, provide in-text citations. Thesis must say why the two articles, and this is my hint. Remember, I explained that my hint is always just my main thing people do wrong, right? Yeah. Hint must say why the two articles are written differently or similarly. Sorry. Thesis must say why the two articles are written differently or similarly. And body of the essay must support that claim. So look at the motivations of the author, publication sponsors, readership, all that stuff of that particular news source for help. There is an example paper at the end of the packet, and it says that the best database for researching is the Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center. Academic Search Complete can find news articles, but it's less easy to find news articles, I guess. Like, you can search for news, but it's far easier on the Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center database. Did I show you all that real quick the other day? Like, just very quickly? That's probably going to be your best bet. Like, who watches the news all the time?
My grandpa.
Yeah, somebody else that's not you, right? So some of us watch the news, but mostly it's our parents, our grandparents. So we're not really that knowledgeable about current events, other than maybe if you didn't turn off the notifications for the news app on your iPhone, you constantly get told about certain things happening. So unless you've got that situation, in fact, I'd suggest if you've got an iPhone, download the news app if you don't already have it. Turn on notifications just for this until this assignment's over. That way you can see things happening, maybe even the research paper. But you can go onto Opposing Viewpoints Resource Center. You can find a topic you might be interested in, then find news articles within that. Anybody use that for like the cause effect paper in the Facebook social media area? Anybody write a Facebook paper? And you were like, hey, he's taking us to where Facebook stuff is, so I can just go there. Now, there are some events that are off limits. You can't write about any presidential debates between any presidential candidates throughout history, because that's the sample paper. And last semester, I actually allowed people to write about it. I said, oh, it's fine. Y'all can write about presidential debates as long as it's not Romney versus Obama. And so they wrote about Clinton versus Trump, and every paper looked exactly like my sample paper. And I was like, oh, gosh, so boring. Like, I wanted to, like, rip my eyes out at the end of it, like Oedipus. Now, you may also not write about the Dark Knight shootings in Aurora, Colorado. That was where the guy shot up The Dark Knight Rises when it came out. You can't write about that one either. Other than that, it's fair game. And do not choose events from earlier than 1980. So that's as far back as I want you to go. I don't want you to say, like, well, I've got these 2 news articles on the Holocaust. And I'm just like, that's just, like, what's going to change? I mean, there's not a whole lot going to be. I don't know. It's less interesting. It's harder to find things on the databases. So I just say don't mess with it. A couple of things I do want to mention. So some of this stuff's specific to our comparison contrast lesson that we're going to have on Thursday. So I won't go into that. But there are some things I can talk about, like the biggest problem I usually have with this paper is students won't compare and contrast how the story was written about. Like they'll take something like the Dark Knight shootings and have 2 articles that are written about it, but they're not going to compare and contrast how it was written. They're just going to report to me the event. I don't want to report on the event. That's what they're doing. I want you to tell me how they reported and what the differences are there in their reportings. Additionally, I don't just want you to compare and contrast 2 different opinions or 2 different kinds of events or ideas on some topic. Like, I don't want to have 2 writers who disagree on abortion. Abortion is not an event. Granted, if somebody has one, it is. But I'm talking about there's got to be some sort of news event. Like, if you wanted to have 2 people who are basically writing about abortion the whole time, one who's like in favor of it, one who's against it, or 2 who are against it, or 2 in favor, I need you to tie it to some event that happened regarding abortion. Like, has anybody heard of Wendy Davis? A couple years ago, she did like a filibuster in like the state senate here, or state house, where she was filibustering so that the abortion rights, like some sort of decision on abortion rights, would not be made. Now, granted, I think that a lot of people say, oh, she's a hero, but granted, I mean, it did not actually work. I think that it still went through, like the thing that she was protesting, essentially. But that is an event you can tie to a place, a time, and a location. That place and location are, I believe, generally the same word, or same meaning. So you have to tie it to some event. Don't just have 2 writers writing about abortion. You have to have 2 writers who are writing about abortion, but also this news event that just happened with like Wendy Davis. Like, you can't just write 2 people who are writing about gun control. You'd have to tie it to something recently that maybe involved guns, and 2 people are talking about guns, which could be what? Las Vegas shooting, right? You could do something like that. Because you're like, well, I really want to write about gun control because that's what I care about. But I need to find 2 people who are writing about guns and talking about the same event, or at least mentioning it. That way I have an event that I can tie it to, and why they're both approaching it a different way. Additionally, don't compare 2 things like Chevys, Fords, football versus baseball, PS4 versus Xbox. Like, I could not care less. Like, I've tried. It's just, I don't care. I figure you'll do that in your daily life, right? If you want to pick between 2 things, you'll figure that out. A good example of a choice would be compare why 2 different news sources report on the Dark Knight shootings similarly differently. See? Let me see. Another thing I want to mention is that, and it's probably the last thing that I mentioned, is you do have to have in-text citations for the paper. However, the works cited page I think you understand really easily. MLA works cited entry, no big deal for a newspaper article generally on the web or a database. But the in-text citations, will an online newspaper generally have page numbers?
No. Maybe. Yes. Yes.
Probably not.
What the heck?
Online scholarly journal articles, yeah, because they pop up in PDF. But the online newspaper articles, they generally don't pop up in PDF. If you go to like NewYorkTimes.com or even on our database, you're not going to see it in its print version. You'll see an online version. So it's not going to have page numbers. So your parenthetical in-text citations will not contain page numbers. You don't have them. So what will it contain?
Their name.
I think I heard it. Yeah, author name, yeah. So the author name will contain it. However, if you're constantly going back and forth between these two articles, if you're saying that Johnson says this, Smith says this, Johnson says this, Smith says this, do you mention in parentheses the name of the author if you've already mentioned it in the sentence?
No.
You do not. So actually, as long as you're constantly going back and forth between the two authors and mentioning them frequently, you'll never end up probably using a parenthetical citation within the entire paper. The only case would be if you reference some other outside sources, but I did limit you to 2 citations. I don't want you having any more articles brought in. So really, you should just be going, Johnson says, Smith said, Johnson said. Now, some students who, I want to say this is dumb, but I can't, so ignorant. They'll put Article 1 said this, Article 2 said this, Article 1. Well, now you have to have parenthetical citations, so why not just say the author's name instead of saying Article 1, Article 2? It's very non-specific, it's generalized, it doesn't help me. That's all I could get out today. So we'll talk about the more particulars of comparison, contrast, and the rest of the essay next time. Y'all have a good one. Wasn't that fun, the library presentation?
Yes.
I have a question about.
Y'all